And welcome to the 10-Minute Life Coach Podcast. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I'm a personal development coordinator, and I assist people ready for improvement in developing their personal and professional goals into tangible, focused, and achievable plans of action. This podcast is one of the tools that I use for that action. This podcast has a very simple mission. It gives you a 10-minute life lesson that as soon as you're done listening, you can go and apply it to whatever you're doing for personal or professional development and hopefully do a little bit better. And sometimes it's something that's just there to reinforce what you're already doing. It may not be a new lesson to you, maybe something that just says, hey, what you're doing right now is on the right path. And that's also a great thing to have as well. For more information about this podcast and how you can access me for direct help with your personal or professional development, just go to the website 10minutelifecoach.com. Now, today is a very special and very interesting episode, as you may have already heard, literally. This is episode 101. We reached the milestone in publishing episode 100 last week, but here's kind of the behind-the-scenes thing. It was recorded about 6 weeks out from this actual release, at least last week's was. So while you are hearing this episode live in person in the stream for the podcast today, this week we actually only released episode 95. So we are 5 episodes away from releasing that milestone episode and then the one following it, which is today. What makes today special? Today we're talking about trying new things and trying to expand your horizons and see how things work out. So for the past 15 minutes before I got on the recording for this episode, I've been doing a Facebook Live with an audio only, because that's how I operate in audio, where I've been talking behind the scenes about how this whole process works, how I record these things, how I edit or not edit, or as you're learning, edit these things, and how we get them published. So if you happen to be listening on or actually watching on Facebook on April 13th, 2017, or listening sometime on a replay of the live stream that went off that day, you can hear this whole podcast with all the gaffes, all the cuts, all the explanations, and fortunately or unfortunately, all the burps and coughs and other weird noises I made in the process of recording a 12-minute podcast, because it is a little bit more complicated than getting on the mic and speaking. That's why I record these things ahead. That's why I'm not a big live speaker, and that's why when you hear people do live talks and live speeches, they don't have the same diction, the same function, and the same delivery as they do in recorded episodes of whatever. So we're trying something new, trying something that's a little weird, trying something that's a little odd, and a little off-putting, to be honest, because to my right, as I record this, there are literally eyes from around the world looking at me, although there's no video of this being recorded. It's all audio. There are people looking and listening to me do this live, which I normally do in the comfort of being in a enclosed studio. No one's watching me. The door is closed, lights on outside, so no one knows to bother me while I am recording. But we're trying something new. I took on a 7-day challenge to live stream something from some platform. I chose a different platform to do because it was easily available for new data every day. But that was something new as well. Doing the live thing is a hard thing to do because you've got to show up live. You've got to be near perfect, not exactly so much, on point all the time, but you got to keep an eye on your gaffes, got to keep an eye on your problems and things going on and kind of troubleshoot them along the way. And you can't just, hit a cough button or stop and rewind and chop things out in a live cast. Once it goes over the air, just like if I'm on the air for a live radio cast, it's over the air. I do have the magic of a cough button and no one watching me on radio. In television, it's a little different. And television's kind of been my foil, as I don't really work so well doing camera cues and eye cues there. Now, I intend to do more live things over the course of however long this live thing lives on, which I think is going to stay. The whole Periscope of live streaming thing is pretty much in vogue and going to be around for a while. So there'll be more of that. So that means trying out more things that are uncomfortable. Talking live on these video screens, talking live and explaining things a lot of times that I don't necessarily have used to explaining, dealing with more technical stuff than just recording it, chopping up, and uploading a file and doing some tags. Dealing with more in line, in person, in real time comments and complaints, to be exact. Why is that a problem? Well, I've been doing what I've been doing on the recording, audio producing side full time for about 12 years. I've been doing it more or less part time to full time for about 16 years. And over the course of 25 years or so, I've been in broadcasting, doing experience, some time out, doing my Air Force thing when I couldn't really do recording all day long. But some radio in college and radio in coming out of the Air Force and full-time doing this thing for a good bit of time. But I've gotten to a process that works perfectly, but perfectly for me. Anytime I have to bring someone else into my process, I'm teaching them something new, and they take on what they can take on in however it works out, and then they learn how to make it their own. Then they learn how to make it work for them. Then they learn all the quirks and the kind of things that makes their thing them. They can't give a delivery like I can, but they can learn my delivery as they learn the process and then figure out how the delivery works. I can't give a delivery like the guys in the other stations of the studios can, but I can practice their style, mimic their actions, and figure out what they're doing, why it works, and find things that I can do similarly. These live videos, I can watch a live video all day, every day, forever, because there's so much video being uploaded every single day. But I can't be like all those big-time stars. I can't be like the big YouTube stars. I can't be The Rock. Trust me, I've been trying to be The Rock for a while, and it's not working out so well. But I can watch those guys and learn from those guys and what they're doing. The Rock is a prime example. Dwayne Johnson took on YouTube, and, of course, he's a big star already, so it was a big deal. But he took it on like the champ he is, and he's doing new things with it, and he's also pushing boundaries in the median and helping other people find new ways to push their own boundaries, challenging people who were already masters to get a little bit better because somebody else is stepping into the game. So you have to always be ready to learn and try and do new things, because if you do not, you will be complacent. Simple word. You will always be where you are if you always keep doing things exactly the way that you're doing them, until the time comes when that way no longer works, and then you're stuck nowhere. Sooner or later, everything becomes outdated, if not obsolete. There's always newer ways to do things. When I started doing this thing full time, I was recording things on reel-to-reel tape in the 90s. Yes, in the 90s, reel-to-reel. We're not doing that anymore. Cassettes were what we're giving things to people to listen to. We're not doing that anymore. We're doing things all digital. We're streaming things now. I am talking to people live on a video on Facebook as I'm recording this to be aired back 6 weeks from now. I can trim up this recording for the people hearing it when it goes live in 6 weeks, or right now, as I should say. The people watching me, listening to me do this live, hear all the warts and all the scratches and all the dents and all the bad parts. But that's fine. It will help me improve my craft. It reminds me that I'm not perfect. It will show me things, and people will tell me things that I can improve on right now in real time, literally in real time, and you won't know it for 6 weeks or so. Be ready for new challenges. Be up to those challenges. Be able to attempt new things. Don't expect to get them right on the first try, because you're not perfect and everything isn't easy. If it were easy, you'd be pretty bored with it pretty quickly. But accept the new for what it is. Something new, something different, something you have yet to master, and something that, if you're good enough, you will master. And if you're not good enough, you've tried, you've seen how it works, you'll find other ways around it. You don't have to take on every new challenge as your new thing, but you take on as many new challenges as possible so you can find the options to have as many new things as you choose to have. And thank you very much for joining us for another edition of the podcast. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and this is a very simple podcast. We wrapped up a 10-minute audio. Hopefully you can take the lesson we went over today, which is be prepared for new things. Always be prepared and up for a chance to try new things. And you can apply that to your personal or professional life. Or maybe you can apply that to what you're already doing, as in it becomes a reinforcement to you already being a person who's aware that new things are very important to your growth. To find more information about this podcast in specific, you go to the website 10minutelifecoach.com. We have the past episodes. We have details on other coaching programs and ways to directly contact me if you need a little extra help for accountability and getting that personal or professional development plan into a better sort of actionable plan. If you just have kind of some vague ideas of what you want to do but need someone to help you craft it, maybe I can help you out. Go to the website 10minutelifecoach.com and find me there. You can also find me in my other projects, lots of other projects, oddly enough, at jclevelandpayne.net. And, of course, you can contact me via email anytime you want to. I'm always checking my Gmail account, although it's, like I say often, I'm always erasing things pretty quickly in Gmail as well. It's because it's a little spammy. J as the letter, Cleveland like the city, Payne @gmail.com. If it's more along the lines of business correspondence, especially sponsorships, we're always looking for folks to help us keep this thing going. Go ahead and send it to info@jclevelandpayne.net. Once again, I can't say thank you enough because without you, there is no podcast. So thank you for joining us for this podcast, supporting this project and other projects I have going on and things I'm a part of. And make sure if you're not subscribed, you go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. We are on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're on Spreaker. We're on Blueberry. Subscribe via Android. You can now find the podcast coming down your feed in YouTube as well. We found out that my feed burner actually automatically can send things to YouTube. So once I publish it, within about a day or so, it gets to YouTube as well. So you can see more audio going along. Thank you so much for joining us. If you heard this 6 weeks ago on Facebook Live for the live recording as we were testing something new, we'll be doing more Facebook Living and more live streaming as it's something that I've used to do more on the radio side, but that's a totally different animal I'm finding, although I'm still not quite so sure I'm going to actually show my face on the live streams. We're working on that as well. In the meantime, go to the website, learn about the podcast, subscribe so you don't miss a podcast, and, of course, be here next week for another edition of the 10-Minute Life Coach.